There's something quite intriguing about the phenomenon we call spiritual awakening. Sometimes people come to me and ask, Alan, what is it that these awakened people see? What do they know that I don't? And I can't help but laugh because the question itself reveals the very predicament we are in. The truth is, the awakened person doesn't see something that others can't. They don't have access to some special realm that's hidden from ordinary people.
No. What they see is what's right in front of everyone. Only they see it without the filters, without the commentary, without the constant mental chatter we call the ego. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're looking at a tree. Now, most of us don't really look at the tree at all. We look at the word tree. We look at our concept of treeness. We think, oh yes, that's a tree. I know what trees are. Maple, oak, useful for lumber, nice for shade, produces oxygen. And in this process, we completely miss the tree. We've swapped the menu for the meal, the map for the territory.
The awakened person looks at that same tree and sees it directly, without the verbal interference. They see its true essence, the play of light and shadow, and the intricate form unfolding right in that moment. And suddenly, that tree becomes the most marvelous thing in the universe. It's not that they're seeing something extra, they're seeing what is actually there, when what's extra is removed, what's been added by the conceptual mind. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most people walk around in a kind of trance. They're hypnotized by words, by concepts, by their own thoughts. They think their thoughts about reality are reality. It's as if someone has spent their entire life looking at photographs of the ocean, thinking they know what the ocean is. Then, one day, they go to the beach, step into the water, and feel the waves crash over them. They say, "Good God, this is nothing like the photos." That's what awakening is like. It's the difference between the photograph and the actual experience. What's truly fascinating is that everyone has experienced moments like this. Everyone has had those experiences when suddenly the world becomes vivid, alive, and immediate. Perhaps it happened in moments of great danger, beauty, or love. Suddenly, thinking fades and the world simply is. Eventually, all the mental chatter stops, and there's this profound sense of the present moment. Children naturally experience this. Watch a child discovering a puddle, a butterfly, or their own hands. They're fully absorbed, fully present. They haven't yet learned to replace direct experience with concepts. But then we educate them. We civilize them. We teach them to live in their minds, to dwell in the past and the future, to be anywhere except the present moment. Gradually, this direct seeing fades away, and they slip into the collective trance we all share. The spiritually awake person has somehow managed to break this trance. It could be through meditation, a personal crisis, or deep philosophical inquiry. The method doesn't matter as much as the realization. They've discovered that the way they were taught to perceive reality is just one perspective, and not necessarily the most accurate one. They've realized that their thoughts about things are not the things themselves. Here's something that really confuses people. The awakened person understands there's no separate self in the way we usually imagine it. Now, I'm not saying that you don't exist or that they don't exist. What I'm saying is that the feeling of being a separate ego trapped inside a body, completely isolated from the rest of the universe, is a fiction. It's a very convincing fiction, yes, but still a fiction. You see, we've been taught to identify with this internal voice in our heads, this narrator that is constantly commenting on everything. I like this, I don't like that, I'm worried about this, I hope for that. And we believe this voice is who we are.
But the awakened person realizes that they are not that voice. The voice arises within their awareness, but it's not their true essence.
Consider this. You can be aware of your thoughts. You can observe them as they come and go. So if you can observe your thoughts, can you really be your thoughts? The one who observes is not the same as the observed. The awakened person has realized that they are the awareness in which all things arise. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, the entire universe. They are not just a thing inside the universe. They are the consciousness in which the universe appears. This isn't some grand delusion. It's not about thinking you're God in an egotistical sense. It's the opposite. It's the dissolution of the ego. The realization that what you truly are is far more fundamental than the small character you've been identifying with, the one with a name, a history, and ambitions. The awakened person sees beyond what I call the skin-encapsulated ego. They understand that the boundary between inside and outside, between self and other, is not absolute, but conventional. When you breathe in, the air becomes part of you. When you breathe out, you become the air. When you eat an apple, the apple becomes part of you. Where do you end, and where does the world begin? The line we draw between ourselves and the world is arbitrary. We create it for convenience, but nature knows no such division. When you truly understand this, not just as an intellectual concept, but as a deep, visceral realization, everything changes. You realize you're not a stranger to the universe. You're not some random accident of the cosmos, a fleeting moment of consciousness lost in an indifferent, mechanical world. No, you are an expression of the whole universe, just as a wave is an expression of the ocean. This brings us to something else that spiritually awake people see, the unity of all things. Not unity in some vague mystical sense, but the clear, literal truth that everything is interconnected, that everything arises together. You can't have up without down. You can't have inside without outside. You can't have self without other. You can't have life without death. These things don't exist as separate entities that later come into relationship. They are simply aspects of a single unified process. Most people see the world as a collection of separate things that occasionally interact. They perceive themselves as one thing and everything else as another. But the awakened person understands that this is like saying the crest of a wave is separate from the trough. They're both part of one movement, one wave. In the same way, all the seemingly separate things in the universe are simply different aspects of one happening, one cosmic event. This realization transforms everything about how you live. When you see that you're not separate from the world, you can't help but treat it differently. Hurting others becomes like cutting off your own hand. It's clearly against your own best interest because they're not really other in the way you once thought. This isn't morality imposed from the outside. It's simply intelligent self-interest once you truly understand what self actually is. Another thing the awakened person sees is the extraordinary intelligence inherent in nature, the intelligence of the universe itself. We've been taught to believe that consciousness is something unusual, something that only exists in human brains and perhaps in animal brains. Everything else is considered dead, mechanical, unconscious. But when you think about it, this is a strange idea. How did conscious beings emerge from an unconscious universe? How did intelligence arise from mindlessness? It's like saying you can get blood from a stone or apples from a brick wall. The awakened person realizes that consciousness must be fundamental to the universe. It cannot be something that appeared as an afterthought. The universe must be intelligent in its nature, or else intelligence could never have emerged from it. Look at your own body. You don't consciously beat your heart or digest your food or fight off infections or grow your hair. All of that happens spontaneously and intelligently, without any effort on your part. The same intelligence that grows grass from the earth and transforms caterpillars into butterflies is what's beating your heart right now. You're not doing it. It's doing you. Philosophical, reflective, poetic, and conversational. The awakened person understands that they're not controlling their life in the way they once thought. The ego doesn't actually do anything. Thoughts arise spontaneously. Actions occur naturally. The sense of being a separate agent, controlling decisions, this is just another thought in the stream of consciousness. In truth, you are being lived by the universe, just as a wave is moved by the ocean. If you're not in control, then what? Does that mean I'm just a puppet? Do I have no free will? But this is still thinking in terms of separation, me versus the universe. What the awakened person realizes is that the controller and the controlled are one. The universe isn't forcing you to do anything. You are what the universe is doing at this specific point in space and time. When you see this, there's a tremendous sense of relief, a letting go. All the anxiety about whether you're doing the right thing, making the right choices, living your life the correct way, it falls away. You realize you can't make a mistake because you're not separate from the process. You can't do anything other than what you're doing because you're not separate from the power that's driving it. This doesn't make you passive or irresponsible. It makes you spontaneous, natural, and free. The spiritually awake person also sees through the illusion of time in a profound way. We tend to think of time as this river flowing from past to future, and we think we're being carried along in it. But in reality, there is only now. The past is just a present memory. The future is just a present anticipation. Both exist only as thoughts happening now. The awakened person lives fully in the present moment because they see that it's the only time life ever actually happens. Most people are never where they are. They're always in their heads, caught up in memories of the past or fantasies about the future. They think about what they should be doing, what they should have done, or what might happen tomorrow. Meanwhile, life is happening right now, and they're missing it. They're missing the miracle of this moment, this breath, this sight, this sound. The awakened person has somehow managed to return to the here and now. They've realized that this moment is all there is, and it's entirely sufficient. In fact, it's perfect, exactly as it is. This doesn't mean they don't plan for the future or learn from the past, but they don't confuse those mental activities with reality. Reality is always now, and in this present moment, when you truly settle into it, something extraordinary happens. The mind becomes quiet. The constant stream of commentary stops, or at least fades into the background. What remains is just awareness, this open, spacious consciousness in which everything appears. And you realize that this awareness, this consciousness, is what you truly are. It's been here all along, but you've been so preoccupied with thoughts that you never noticed it. This awareness is
very simple, very ordinary, and yet it's the most profound thing in the universe. It's the light in which everything appears. Without it, there would be no world, no experience, no anything. And it's what you are, not as an object or thing, but as pure subjectivity, pure presence, pure being.
The spiritually awakened person rests in this awareness. They no longer identify with the passing show of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, but with the awareness in which all of that appears. And from this perspective, everything looks different. Problems don't disappear, but they lose their ability to disturb. Pain is still felt, but there's no suffering added to it by resistance and complaint.
Joy is experienced more fully because there's no fear of losing it. Life becomes play, a cosmic dance, a game. Not in the sense of taking it lightly, but in the sense of not taking yourself too seriously. You realize you're playing a role, a character, but you're not limited to that role. You can be in the world, fully engaged, and yet not be of it, not trapped by it.
This is what the spiritually awake person sees. They see reality directly, without the filter of concepts. They see the unity of all things. They see that consciousness is fundamental. They see that there is no separate self. They see that all there is now. And they see that what they really are is the awareness in which all of this appears.
And the beautiful, frustrating, wonderful thing is that I can tell you all of this, but it won't help you one bit unless you see it for yourself. These are just more words, more concepts, more items on the menu. The real feast is available right now, in this very moment. If you would only stop reading the menu and start eating, look at what's actually here. Listen to what's actually sounding. Feel what's actually present. And in that direct contact with reality, you may discover what the spiritually awake already know, that you are that reality, looking at itself through these particular eyes.